Hi everyone. We're going to do a review of translations and we're going to figure out how to make it into an equation or a function. So whenever we have a translation, remember translation means to what? A translation means to slide, correct. So slide equals a translation. Okay. So whenever we're dealing with a coordinate plane, we have a horizontal axis, which is our x, and we have a vertical axis, which is our y. Okay? When we're going in the horizontal direction, we can only have two movements for the x, and it is horizontal, left or right, right or left. Right, if you're going to the right, remember, if you're going to the right on the number line, it's a positive movement. So going right is a positive movement. If you're going left, it's a negative movement, because if you're going left on the number line, it's a negative movement. Now for the y-axis, we have two directions that we can move on the y. It's our vertical axis, so we can only move up or down. If we're moving up on the number line in the vertical axis, remember that's a positive movement, so we're moving in a positive direction. If we're going down, it's a negative movement, so going down is a negative movement. Those things, this box right here that I'm going to put in yellow, this is very important when we're dealing with translations, knowing what direction each of the axes are moving whenever we're going through and figuring out what formula or equation we need for our x and our y. So let's go ahead and read the problem, and as I'm reading, you're going to see me annotating. And remember, annotating just means to highlight important information. You do it in ELA, we do it in math as well. So write the coordinates of the vertices after a translation of 7 units to the right and 4 units down. So let's go ahead and translate those words into actual formulas and signs, okay? So right, remember, right is a positive movement. So positive, and how many units are we moving? 7, so plus 7. And if we're moving right or left, we need to do x plus 7. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in this table right here with our first function or our first equation for the x. Any x value that we have for this translation, we need to add 7 to it to get the new coordinate. Okay, so to get the new shape, remember, whenever you see an accent, this means new shape. We're looking for the new shape, the new coordinates. All right, so I want you to try to figure out y on your own, the y-axis. What do we need to do to the y? 4 units down. So again, reference this yellow box right here below it. Down means what? Is it a positive or a negative movement? It's a negative movement, correct. And remember, when we're doing up or down, we're dealing with the y-axis. Down is a negative movement, so minus. And how many units are we moving? 4. So y minus 4. So now I'm going to put that into my table down here. So all of my y coordinates for the shape are going to be subtracting 4. So let's go through, and for p first, let's pull out our x and our y. Our x for p is negative 4. So negative 4 plus 7 is going to give me a coordinate of positive 3. Okay, and now I'm going to take the y coordinate. Negative 3 minus 4 equals 2 negatives. Remember, you have to keep the sign, add the numbers. So negative 3 minus 4 gives me negative 7. So p is going to be 3 comma negative 7 for p prime. Now for q, we have negative 4 plus 7, which is going to be equal to 3. Then I have 0 minus 4. 0 minus 4 is going to give me negative 4. So my coordinate for q prime is going to be 3, comma, negative 4. And then now for r prime, I have my original r, which is negative 1. My x is negative 1 for the r, plus 7, which is going to give me positive 6. And then I have 0 for the y, minus 4 equals negative 4. So r prime is going to be positive 6, negative 4. For s prime, my x is going to be negative 1 plus 7, which equals 6. And for my y, I have negative 3. So negative 3 minus 4 is going to equal 2 negatives, keep the sign, add the numbers, negative 7. So s prime is going to be 6, comma, negative 7. So now I'm just going to move those numbers over. 3, negative 7 for p prime. Q prime was 3, negative 4. R prime was 6, negative 4. And S prime was 6, negative 7. And now I'm going to plot these on the graph so you can see what a translation does to this shape. So let's go ahead and plot these points. My first point is going to be 3, negative 7. So go to the 3 on the x, go down to the 7 on the y. There's p prime. Okay? Now we need to do q prime, which is at 3. So I go to the 3 on the x and down to the negative 4 on the y. And I'm going to get q prime right here. The next one I have is r prime, which is at 6. So I'm going to 6 on the x, down to negative 4 on the y. R prime. And s prime is going to be 6. So I go to the 6 on the x, go down to negative 7 on the y. And I have s prime here. And here is our new shape after a translation. So after the slide, that is a new translation. And that's how you do a translation with an equation or a function.